Hi there, and let's continue working on the Siemens luggable computer. The last time I worked on it, it was mostly working. After fixing the power supply issues, it booted fine. It booted from hard disk, which was amazingly lucky, also still working, and it all looked quite good. So I want to finish that now. It did ask when booting from hard drive for a test disk or a boot disk, something like that. The reason for that is the batteries that are on the backplate are empty, so the real-time clock has lost all data, and you need a boot or test disk to fix that. I don't have those, but luckily the files can be found online, so we'll look into that in a bit. And I want to give this a good proper clean, because yeah, it is quite dirty. This hard disk and floppy cage is quite rusty. The connectors on this side have rusted a bit. So yeah, now regarding the floppy situation, the floppy drive in this is a bit annoying because it is a quad density floppy drive. It uses the standard 5¼ inch floppy drives personal computers used, but those are dual density, meaning they hold 360 kilobytes of memory, and this machine has a quad density, meaning it can hold 720K of data per floppy. Now, personal computers switched kind of from the 360K dual density all the way up to the 1.2 megabyte high density 5¼ inch floppies, and of course after that to the smaller 3.5 inch floppy drives. But making quad densities is a little annoying. Now, the files online, which has the boot disk, also have some instructions on how to do that, but you need a 1.2 megabyte floppy drive for that, which I sadly don't have. I asked around, and a friend of mine could make a floppy for me, which is this one. So I tried that out, and it boots. Perfect. But this is the boot disk, and it turns out I don't need the boot disk. The boot disk is meant for reinstalling a system. It contains CPM, the operating system, and some tools on installing it. So I did also find the test disk online, so I had an idea. I got a external floppy drive, which is this one. I bought this online a while ago, and I made a small circuit board for it with a Raspberry Pi Pico running the Greaseweasel firmware. Greaseweasel is a firmware kit and some software tools for your computer to read and write floppy drives, and it can read and write the magnetic flux on them, so it can read very low level, which is great for restoring floppies or getting data from floppies that are in weird formats and such. But I only have a 360K floppy drive in there, so that won't work. And I thought, well, there's a 720K quad density floppy drive, well, in this machine. So I hooked it up, converted the file from format it was in online to the format the Greaseweasel tools support, copied it to floppy, and one floppy drive. Perfectly working. So I can now finally clean this up, get the test disk in, get all the settings correct, see what it does, see what's on there, and have a go with that. But first, cleaning this up, because, well, this is quite dirty. Especially this is not ideal. So I'm going to get this in some rust remover, clean up this. So I got some connectors which hopefully fit. I hope I can get this whole reel off, so I can clean that up, clean up the cables, the case, make it a nice looking machine again. So let's first look at this board, because yeah, that's a little dirty, especially this side. So this metal bit looks like it might be, it is at least screwed on, but it might also be soldered on. So I'm going to try and remove that, and at least remove these two connectors. I got some replacements for those, and that will make it look a little cleaner, I'd say. It seems that these do not hold that metal plate in place. The soldering job does that, because these screws just hold in these spacers, which then hold the connectors in place. And all the metal bits are just soldered on, so that's going to be a bit annoying to get off. So I won't remove that, I'll just clean that as best as I can with just some cleaning agent and a brush. Let's quickly remove those two connectors, especially that one looks kind of horrible. the new connectors somewhat fit. I had to remove the weird square metal things to keep those in place. So it's a little different connector, but it should be fine. So let's quickly solder these on. And there we go. And yes, I did check the traces here, and they also looked and measured fine. So yeah, sounds good. I do need to, I had to drill these out, so I'll put in a few new bolts just to keep it closed. I think that should be doable with some M3 bolts and screws, so no big deal. So this board is fine. Now for the rest, it mostly needs a quick clean. So this is the bottom case. I removed everything. I'll just show a picture of everything on my desk because it was the entire desk just full of Siemens parts. Now this again seems fairly decent, and you can see the difference between where the circuit board protector was and wasn't. But yeah, I'll just clean all of this quickly, move to the other parts, the front, back and the top panel, and then we'll assemble everything again. The back panel is a bit more dirty, so yeah, let's remove the fan real quick and clean it up as well. Now, I mentioned before that I thought there was water damage, but these two battery holders seem a little corroded, so it might have been very old leaky batteries. I'm not entirely sure, but well, we'll clean it up anyways. If we can get the fan out, this screw seems quite corroded. Yikes. Yeah, the batteries are there, the bottom is there, so leaky battery terminals, corroding that. Yeah, my guess is still water damage. That's the fan at least. Let's see how those batteries are doing. I'm guessing not great. These are of course not the original batteries, but yeah, that's not looking too great. So while cleaning, the terminal came off, so let's see if we can reattach that. I mean, it's not really the same thickness or, well, anything like the same wire. It'll probably work because, I mean, there's a battery. It's not really that there's any current going through that. So it'll have to do for now. At least I could solder on that terminal, which I was a little afraid of that I couldn't. So good enough for now, and we'll call it a day. Most of it is cleaned up. The cage that holds the hard drive and floppy disk is looking, well, there's less rust, but if you remove the rust, then you just have the markings from where there used to be rust. So I'm not sure if that will clean up more, but for now it's at least not rusty anymore. So I'll just assemble this and we can have a look at what it'll do. Now I kept some screws in the exact places where they should go. That makes assembling a little easier, especially if you're doing a project that takes a few weeks. Let's get the CRT back in. Alright, well that's a lot of things in place. I'm going to put in the cards, and then before assembling it further, give it a very quick test, see if it still works after all that, well, work. So let's turn it on and see if it still does what I expect it to do. Okay. So far so good. It wants a test disk. So yeah, looks good to me. Let's assemble this further and then give it a proper go. Now, sadly, the wires for the battery on the back came off again. It was quite corroded inside, so that battery holder seems to have stopped working. Instead, I'll just solder on 2 wires to the battery connectors down here, and I will go out and get a small AA battery holder. Okay, so I'm very blessed by having an electronics store quite close to me, so I can just pick this up. Let's get that attached to that, shorten the cables a bit, put that in, and assemble it, test it. Sounds good. And yeah, with a battery holder like that, you of course have to open it up if you want to change the batteries. But they should last at least a couple of years, maybe longer, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll just use some double-sided tape to mount that on. And there we go. Now, very quick test. Does it output 3 volts? And yeah, 3.2 volts. I mean, those are new batteries, so yeah, perfect. Time to get the cover on and yeah, give it a go. Right, top cover's on, keyboard is attached again, and I'm going to put in the test disk and give it a go. Now, it's not completely assembled, the keyboard is not attached. On the side there's some handles I need to screw in. I need to give the keyboard a bit more of a clean, but these keycaps are a little annoying to get off. But I'll do that afterwards, and I'll make a few photos that can go in the accompanying blog post. Because yes, there will be a blog post that goes with this video series. The blog post will contain, well, some photos of course, the binary of the ROM that's inside of here, some information on how I made the floppy drive, and other goodies. So do please check that out. The link is down below in the description. Okay, let's boot from the test floppy. The configuration is 768 KB of RAM, yes, a floppy disk on spot A, seems correct to me, and a hard drive 25 megabytes, sounds good to me. So let's not change that. Do we want to test things? Ew. No, I just want to save this. Sure, let's test the RAM, the CPU. Kind fella? I'll quickly Google Translate that. Luckily, we have invented Google Translate, and kind fella means no mistake. Sounds good to me. So, honestly, we'll test a few things. The memory. I hope that doesn't take ages. It's going to take ages. I just walked out and now I'm back and it's unhappy. Great. Now, RAM tests seem to have gone fine. I don't want to test everything. That would take ages. I just want to get this machine up and running. Let's see what options we have. Oh, so now it doesn't boot. Brilliant! We broke it by testing something. Right, so the no image issue was annoying. In there, the CRT One of those cables was loose, so because I was getting the power supply, this part out in and out a few times, that came loose, and then the CRT doesn't work. Surprise! That's all fixed now. Let's continue. Attempt number 2. The RAM test took ages, but seemed fine, so I'll ignore that for now. However, I don't see anything here to initialize the real-time clock. So let's have a quick look at what we got. We got CPU, screen, tastatur, which is keyboard, RAM, timer, drukker, printer, not sure, floppy disk, drive, that could be time. Yeah, let's, oh. Sure, well, sure, let's test that. On the top you can see it's doing something, and yeah, that seems good. So I'm still not sure what else we can do. Hardware configuration, let's not change that. What's the option 21? Something cyclical cycle? Okay, never mind, not that happy we invented Google Translate. You know what, I can run all these tests, or I can just assume, hope, suppose that this just running the disk has initialized it. So let's get the disk out and see if it boots without the weird error message asking for disk. I can't really exit this, it seems, so yeah, fine. Let's boot it without floppy disk in it. Hopefully no error message. It would be nice if there would be a power button on front. There is no power button that I can see of, so yeah, disk. Oh, yeah, no weird error message. Perfect. Now we got a few odd things. Lots of files, starting with S50, which is for the Siemens S5 PLCs, I reckon. Then we have CPM, of course, we need CPM. And we got a few command files, but not that much more. Oh, look at that, FTARC data transfer program, which is initializing, which I kind of want to quit, which I can do with F8. Let me guess, it's stuck on initializing. Bummer. Ooh, yep, that's definitely stuck on initializing. Mwah, mwah. Now, one program I don't see on here is Park, which, interestingly enough, it tells me to use when I want to move this, which it doesn't have. So it seems to just have Siemens stuff on there, nothing else. Let's insert the boot floppy, not the test floppy, but the boot floppy, which is normally used to reinstall these machines. So maybe we can get some files from there. Can I just go to A? I haven't really used CPM before, so not entirely sure. Yes, I can go to A, and in A we have quite a few more files, like HD Park. Now, that hopefully works that disk. Perfect, that's all nice and safe. Now we have a few more commands in there, like help, set, device, dir, of course. And yeah, I could copy a few files over from the floppy drive to the hard drive, like HD Park and something else. And maybe there's also a few disks online with tools and programs for this. Sadly, I've seen a few people play chess on these machines, but it's not on this one, and I haven't found it online yet. If I do, maybe it makes a nice additional video sometime. So yeah, I think that's it for now with this machine. We diagnosed it, got it back up and running, as you can see. Hard drive still works, floppy drive works, it just all seems to work quite well. So, if you enjoyed these video series, please let me know. It's the first time for me doing something like this. And of course, like, subscribe, share it with people, the all YouTube algorithm stuff. And of course, if you have feedback, let me know. In making these videos, I learned a lot of things that I can improve, like camera angles, lighting, audio, everything mostly. And maybe if I make more videos like this, they'll suck a little bit less. And as I mentioned, I'm going to clean this up, get the handles on the sides back together and make it one big running machine again. And all the information and final photos will be on the blog post, which you can find down below. Thank you very much for watching.